Okay, hi everybody. This is the fifth video in a series on Muriel Newman's article called Mana or Money, which can be found on her website, but it's a really excellent article. And there's so much in this, it takes a lot to actually go through it and to unpack it. So far we've been talking about, in previous videos, we've been talking about Ngāi getting control of hydro and rivers, and working with power companies, getting huge kickbacks for allowing or signing off on resource consents, and corruption is running at an all-time high. And then Muriel went on to talk about the mussel spat situation in Northland, where businesses were being interfered with and negatively affected by iwi interference. And then there was the case of the water in Auckland from the tribe in the Waikato, and wanting exorbitant rates for supplying Auckland with water. And these have all come about through what they call treaty settlements, and it's really a backdoor way of giving Maori assets by calling them part of treaty settlements. So the Waitangi Tribunal makes a tribe goes, I don't know whether you know how it works, but the tribes around New Zealand go to the Waitangi Tribunal and they put in a claim. The tribunal assesses it. And this is all paid for by the government. All of these steps, all the legal fees of the tribe who wants to put in a claim, all the salaries of everybody on the Waitangi Tribunal. And the Waitangi Tribunal has become an activist organisation. Now that's just a fact. And I'll put an article by Dr. Michael Bassett, who used to be, for 10 years, he was on the Waitangi Tribunal, and he says it's now full of activists. And so the Waitangi Tribunal just approves everything, and then the government, too busy to really look into the detail, to look into the history, and you've got many history-ignorant politicians, and they simply take what the Waitangi Tribunal says and just rubber stamp it. And then what happens is large amounts of money and assets, and big assets, are handed over to these tribes. And this is how co-governance is actually rolling out now. It's being done under the guise of treaty settlement give-outs. And so rather than just it's being done under the radar as a so-called treaty settlement agreement. And the public are just not aware of this, of how this is being, eventually we're going to be taken over completely, and the Maori are going to own the whole lot, the whole of New Zealand. So if you want that, just let it keep on going, because little by little they're chipping away. And the next thing that they're after is the beaches. And let's pick it up here, because it says here, is this situation a foretaste of what is in store for once iwi get control of the coast? Now, she said that statement, that sentence, in context with the discussion about the mussel spat situation in Northland, how they're getting control of the mussel spat farming in 90 Mile Beach. So let's keep working through this. There is talk that the disruption is part of a long-term strategy by iwi to gain control of the spat supply. That's exactly what I said would happen. They start off but with a complaint, and it moves on to wanting a cut from the profits, and then it moves on to blackmail, which is if you want us to give us consent, we need some money, which is exactly what they did with Ngāi and the energy supply companies in the South Island. They got 180 million from the electricity companies in the South Island to okay a resource consent. So this thing moves. It doesn't just stay in one place. It's not just a complaint. It moves from a complaint to the offer of a deal, to sign off on a resource consent, to the exchange of cash. If they want control of coastal industry, the Marine and Coastal Area Act, MACA, is playing right into their hands. Now, there was an act passed in 2010, if I remember rightly, where the possibility, and this was done through Chris Finlayson, who was the devil incarnate inside the National Party, and what they passed an act which opened up the possibility of Maori gaining customary rights or control over all the beaches in New Zealand. And the initial act said that there were two conditions for Maori being granted customary rights to a part of the coastline, or a big section of the coastline. And those two criteria were that they had to prove that they had exclusive use of that coastline since 1840, and that it was uninterrupted use. So two criteria: exclusive use and uninterrupted use. And then just recently, unbelievably, the courts, who have also been infiltrated by activists, changed this act, and they made it a lot easier for tribes to be able to get control of the coast. Now, let's pick up the story then. This week's, now that you know that background, this week's NZCPR guest commentator, freelance journalist Graham Adams, makes the point that most New Zealanders are completely unaware not only that iwi are being given control of our coastline, but that the implications for the country could be devastating. Quote, "The public has been very poorly informed about MACA's practical ramifications. MACA is the Marine and Coastal Area Act, which has opened the door to the possibility of Maori gaining all the coastline around, control of all the coastline around New Zealand. Anyone who imagines customary rights and marine title might be confined to gathering shellfish or gathering hangi stones is mistaken. The law confers the right for iwi and hapu to be involved in coastal planning and policy development, including vetoing resource consents in an area from the high tide mark to 12 nautical miles out to sea. This could affect applications to set up fish farms, marinas, offshore wind turbines, or build new wharves in their designated areas. Financial windfalls," he goes on to say, "will also be available through charging commercial operators a fee. Some fear that could devastate businesses' enterprise, such as inshore fisheries, as ticket clipping renders coastal industry uneconomic." So what you're seeing here is you're seeing an act that was passed that opens the door to Maori getting complete control of the ocean from the mean high tide mark out to 12 nautical miles out to sea. In other words, you've lost control of the entire coast of New Zealand to a minority group. Now you tell me what's right about that. There's nothing in the treaty about this, nothing at all. When in the treaty it talks about fisheries and forests, it was only meaning what Maori were using at the time. It was never taken that's by the time, I mean 1840, it was never taken that, and never understood by the British, that this meant all the fisheries from mean high tide out to 12 nautical miles. It was just their local fishing spots around the coast in New Zealand, that they were going to make sure that Maori were not going to lose those. Because British law, according to British law, the beaches and the ocean are owned by the people of the country, by all the citizens of Britain, not by private enterprise or any particular group of people. It is an asset that belongs to all the people of the nation. And that law was applied in New Zealand. So there is nothing in the treaty about this, but the treaty has been so twisted and contorted that they're now saying that the treaty promised Maori all the coastline of New Zealand, and that is a great big lie. So back in 2010, when National was working with the Maori Party and iwi leaders on their plan to repeal Crown ownership of the coast and allow Maori claims, the Tainui chairman and former MP Tuku Morgan revealed that iwi had their eyes on seabed mining. Iwi that successfully claim customary title over the foreshore and seabed will own the minerals under them and the right to mine them. The law change will herald big economic opportunities for iwi. Customary title is just as powerful as freehold title, except it can't be alienated or sold. Alienated means sold. So here's the hypocrisy. You've got Maori today saying that natural resources are very special to Maori and you shouldn't touch them like any sort of mining. And here they are, Tuku Morgan saying, hey, if we get the beaches, then we can start mining the seabed. That's what he said. Look. That iwi had their eye on mining the seabed. Well, that is incredible. Because I'll show you some footage in a minute about Maori and how they say we must never, ever allow mining the seabed. But there's a massive double standard here.
Open up our lands, our waterways, our moana for the mining rapists from overseas. Mate, you've got to know that that's biting off something you just can't possibly win. You just know. You just got to know that all of those Pākehā greenies out there are just waiting for you to try this one. You've got all of our whanaunga down Taranaki. Fight the seabed mining down there. Got all of the ones up at Kumara. Fight the seabed mining up there. But the ones up Aipara, Taitogero, fighting the seabed mining up there. We will fight it. And not so much, we don't have to fight you fellas over it. But we can guarantee that those companies that think they're going to get it are not going to get their hands on our resources. You might open the door, but we'll slam it shut.
So we're going to discuss more of this tomorrow. And it's a very, very sad situation. At the time, the Minerals Industry Association warned removing the seabed from Crown ownership will undermine New Zealand's status as a sovereign nation, and there's a risk iwi will jeopardise development with demands for excessive royalties or even veto it. So what this will do, I believe one of the solutions to New Zealand's problems in every single area is to open up the oil fields in New Zealand. I have a vision for this country to open up all the oil fields around this nation, become energy independent, bring the price of fuel down to 30 cents a litre, which would suddenly release cash into the economy, a lot of cash, because people would have more disposable income to buy goods and services, and the standard of living would absolutely rocket. Most of the cost that we have in goods and services has to do with fuel and transport. And if you can bring fuel down to 30 cents a litre, not have to pay huge amounts of money to overseas people to import oil, we fire up the refineries and maybe build 2 or 3 more, and we become an energy independent country, and we actually start exporting oil to other countries. And if we did this, we could become the wealthiest, most prosperous country on earth. There's no doubt about it. But if we give away all the beaches to Maori, we lose that possibility because they could stop it. That's enough for today. I'm too wound up to keep going.